Hello and welcome to Career Talk. I'm Lee Hopwood, CEO at the CCMA and host of this live show where I chat with contact centre professionals to find out about their career journeys so far in this brilliant industry. Now, why do we do this? Now, we're here at the CCMA because we are supporting the industry. We want to inspire both those that work in it and also those that are thinking about having a career in our sector because there is so much opportunity. And certainly, if you've not listened to a career talk before, you will hear all sorts of opportunities that arise from a career in this sector. Now, today I am over the moon to have the UK National Contact Centre Awards 2023 Rising Star Team Manager of the Year Gold winner with me, Naveed Hussain from Specsavers. Hello, Naveed.
Hi, how are you?
I am really good. And how are you today?
I'm a little bit nervous, but we can get there. It's good. I'm still getting used to the award-winning side of things. So yeah, good.
And massive congratulations. And it's a really, really tough category.
Thank you.
But what did it feel like on the night of winning?
Shock, humbled, grateful. There's so many other superlatives there, but yeah, it's just generally such a great evening, and it became an absolute whirlwind of events. And this is going to sound really cliche, but it has been a life-changing moment for myself and my family as well, because off the back of that, I've recently been appointed as an operations manager as well within Specsavers. So yeah, the last 12 months has been an absolute pleasure of a journey, but it's just an absolute whirlwind as well, and I can't be thankful enough for the awards especially.
When you say it's life-changing for you, you talked about that you've been promoted to ops manager, you're a team manager as you're going through the judging process, but you've also said that it was life-changing for your family. What made a difference there?
Well, obviously, from a career point of view, naturally with the promotion, financially it does help me out. I'm not going to deny that, but equally, it was a really proud moment for me to share with my wife and my kids as well, because I showed them that you can be very capable, irrespective of what your perceptions may be, or if you don't necessarily get the education that you wanted to get and so forth. So as well, so it was nice for me to share that story with my children and my wife, because we've had a bit of a tough journey. There's no denying that. We've all had tough journeys through the COVID area and things like that. So for us to finally sit back and think, what, our hard work has paid off, and the investment that my family put in myself as well has really helped. So that's why, for me, from a personal point of view, it's kind of choking me up a little bit. But my family have been immensely grateful for this, but equally myself, I know that the hard work that they've put in for me, and equally I've returned that favour now. So that's why it's been a bit life-changing for me.
Do you know what? You say you're choking up, I'm choking up here, and I'm known for getting a big lump in my throat when we hear fabulous stories like that. So let's go back to the beginning, because I do a little bit of digging around before I interview someone on Career Talk, and I do go into your LinkedIn, and I want to go, because there's a big gap on your LinkedIn profile, so I want to go back to the beginning and understand what happened when you came out of school. Did you leave school at 16, 18? Did you get GCSEs? Did you get A levels? Did you do HNDs, degrees? What did you do from an education perspective?
So education-wise, I left school at the age of 16. I then went to college for approximately 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, in fact, in total. I studied IT and business studies at the time. I then was teetering on the edge of going to university or not. I'd been accepted to go to university. However, I didn't feel like the academic side was going to do me any favors. And the reason why I say that is because at the time, I felt like I was going to probably enjoy university life too much, but from a different perspective rather than actually studying. So I decided to go into work, and my very first job was in a contact center. It was only for about 6 months, but it was just a case of me trying to find myself at that time. And because I'd studied IT, I felt like I was IT savvy. So I ended up working for a company called PC Service Corps, which was a spin-off from Dixon's, which was just frontline IT support. and I, like I said, I did it for a couple of months, and then I decided that actually I wanted to go into retail, because I felt like I wanted to be customer facing, and also at the time, because I was relatively early in my adult career, so to speak, I wanted to be in a face-to-face environment and feel the energy that way. So I started off in the retail sector. And yeah, I enjoyed that for about a year or so, and then I wanted to explore finance and banking, and that's where I ended up on a bank, high street bank. I worked there for about four years or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. Started off as a cashier and then moved my way up to a banking advisor, where I was talking about and advising about products which the bank holds, ranging from current accounts to loans to insurances and so forth. I then went on to work at another bank at a university, which was a smaller brand and a smaller branch, but it felt like I could grow my career a little bit more, where I was dealing with university students, university scholars, and building up key relationships there. And again, I did that for about 5 years or so. Was going to end up getting relocated to another part of the country, and at that point, I was starting a young family at that time. I didn't think it was fair on myself or my family to up sticks and go somewhere else. I was rooted in Nottingham, so I kind of wanted to stay here. And then I stumbled across a career in a contact centre, which was countrywide in Mansfield. A little bit slightly out of my comfort zone, because again, I was used to working in retail for a number of years at that point and working in banking. But I felt I could do it. And when I spoke to the recruitment agency, they thought I could do it also. So I went for the interview and I started off as a real-time manager there. And it was a new to contact center role, as it were, because at that point nobody really knew much about what real-time management and things like that was. So it was something that we started up together, working through Excel spreadsheets, getting some databases together, sorting out the telephony side of things. And I then saw the role at Specsavers as a scheduling analyst, which I felt I could do at the time. And I'm extremely grateful for looking at that role and taking it on, because this is where it's led me to. But it also helped me deal with some demons in the background as well, with regards to what I could and couldn't do from what I was told from a younger age.
And so let's just unpack that a little bit. So, okay. The fact that you've had a career in retail, face-to-face customer service, you've had a career in banking, you've come back to the contact centre, which I love. You've come back to the contact centre, working in real-time scheduling, planning side of things. And first of all, I want to pull out the data piece, because that's part of, you know that you are very capable of doing data and analysis. So is that something that you had developed during your career? Is that something that you had a natural affinity to when you were at school? Or is that something that you just kind of get and love?
I think it was probably more the latter rather than anything, because at school I wasn't really interested in that side of things, if I'm honest. I felt it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I genuinely saw myself as a people person. I think from the data side of things, I naturally developed it. And then I became intrigued by it really more than anything, because it becomes a little bit of an obsession. Once you start into it, you just want to dig more and more deeper, and there is effectively no end to it. But what I wanted to do was get to a point where I understood it enough for me to then put my own skill set together with regards to the people side of things. So I gravitated towards it. It just became a natural love affair, if you want to call it that, with regards to data analysis and so forth. And hence why I did 2 stints as a real-time manager, as well as working in scheduling, because it was genuinely a part of my life which I really enjoyed, and I could see the evolution in myself, and I could see the actual growth from a knowledge point of view and where this was taking me.
And the other thing that you said was that you had some things you were told when you were little that you've now confronted and you've faced. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so this really came to life in my career when I became a scheduling analyst at Specsavers. Whilst I was young, probably I want to say about 11 or 12, first year at secondary school, I was diagnosed as colourblind. Now, what that simply means is that I I struggled to differentiate between certain colours, be brown and red, purple and blue, etc. And at a very young age, as you can imagine, I won't say my dreams were shattered as such, but being told I can't be a fireman, I can't be an electrician, I can't be a police officer, and anything that involved analysing and seeing colours and so forth, I wouldn't be able to do that role. And as life evolved, you kind of just subconsciously put it in the back of your mind. It didn't feel like it was hindering me as such, but I kind of always avoided those kind of roles. And it really came prominent when I became a scheduling analyst, because a lot of the workforce tool that we were using was highly colour orientated. And my manager at the time, it was about 6 to 8 months into my role, she realised that I was actually doing really good in my role. I was performing, but I was slightly slower than all the other scheduling analysts, and she couldn't understand why. And after some really innocuous conversations, quite frankly, it turns out I just openly admitted it because I felt comfortable talking about it, because I was talking about it with my wife at home and things like that, and I recognized myself that I need to actually see the words, I need to see prompts before I can actually start focusing and getting my accuracy in tune, just like I would want with anybody else. And if it wasn't for that conversation, I don't think I'd be here I am where I am right now, because that lifted the whole weight off my shoulders. And we did some tests in the background as to what kind of color spectrum I was on, how challenging it was for me.
And you are in the right place working at Specsavers to bring back into your life the fact that you are colorblind, and going through those, and of all the organizations on the planet, Specsavers are going to really properly understand and be able to help you unpack that and work out the best way to help you going forward. So tell us, please do carry on your story.
Absolutely. And you know what, this is where I really saw teamwork in its finest art form. Now, we've all probably worked in teams that we've really enjoyed and so forth, and been really supportive, but I can genuinely say from the bottom of my heart, that was probably the most supportive moment I've ever had. For the next 6 to 12 months or 18 months, as it were, the team rallied around me, and they set up a system for me so I could work more efficiently and so forth, and my speed and my confidence, everything grew exponentially. And yet we still use the same workforce management tool. We didn't invest in that or anything, but they invested in around it. That was the penny drop moment for me, because that was the moment when I realized I'm in the right place. I'm in the right environment, and I'm actually getting encouraged, even with this so-called issue that I had. It became a non-entity almost. It almost became something that we all learned from, and we all went on that same journey together. And that inspired me more to say, right, I'm in this right place. This is where I want to accelerate my career. And this is where I've ended up. Where that was the starting moment for me.
So when we were talking beforehand, that moment and hearing that and coming to terms with that in the environment that you're in, you seem to have quite a lot of ambition, quite a lot of aspiration. So you didn't stay in the analyst role for too long. You were looking for the next step. Tell us a little bit more about that, and also what support you had in terms of planning your career development.
Yeah, so again, this was part of the journey that was going on, about my performance and things like that. And one of the key questions my manager asked me at the time was, what is it that you want to do whilst you're at Specsavers? However long that career looks like, we have obviously it's a big brand, and we have a lot of different types of roles. And at that moment in time, what I said was, I actually want to go into people management. And that was probably about 2 years into my career as a scheduling analyst, real-time manager. And she asked me the questions as to why I wanted to do that. What do you think I can bring to the table? So I kind of just went through it, and I said, this is what I think I can do, this is how I can develop, and so forth. So as part of my journey, the aspirational managers course that came up at Specsavers was about future managers and about future talent, if you want to call it that. And I asked for my manager's permission if I could apply for this whilst doing my day-to-day role. And the reality was I could. So you move things aside and you spend 1 day a week or 1 day a month, or whatever it was, to invest in that side of things through e-learning, through actually using contact center helper was a key tool for me at that time, because that was the first time I was really introduced to it, and a lot of the knowledge base that I got from there, as well as the internal iLearn sites that we had. So as part of my objectives, that's something that I had to pick up along the way. And during that process as well is that the program was roughly around about 18 months, and it actually coincided with COVID at the point where being upskilled or trained, as it were, as a mental health first aider as part of that aspirational managers course. And again, this was where it really came to life during that period, because I went through some personal difficulties myself, as did everybody else in that situation. But what I found was, as a mental health first aider, people were reaching out to me quite frequently through, in isolation or via Teams at the time, because that was a new thing that came up. And actually, what I felt really humbled and empowered at the same time, that people actually trusted me and could rely on me, and built up a lot of trust and confidence about their personal circumstances and how they're suffering at work or at home or in general day to day, because everybody's life's turned upside down. And that inspired me even more. So then I thought, right, okay, I really want to become a people manager now, because not only have I done the data side of things, I've shown that I can do this really well, but this is where my heart is, and this is where I want to be. And that journey just accelerated in my mind that I want to be a people manager now. And when the role came up, I just ran towards it. I thought, this is the team I want to be working for, and this is the reasons why.
And what did it feel like when you? No, actually, let me come back a step. So when that role came about, what was the recruitment process for that? I want to assume you had to go through an interview process. Tell us about that recruitment phase.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of that recruitment process was that even if you was on the aspiring managers course, it didn't necessarily guarantee you a job or anything like that. It just basically meant that if and when a job comes up, anybody could apply for it, but I could use that as part of my qualifications, if you want to call it that. And the first time I applied for it, I actually didn't get the role. I went for the interview. I scored really well. I passed the assessment centre, but however, there was a couple of other people that scored better than me, which I accepted. Obviously, naturally, a little bit disappointed, as you would do. But then obviously, I worked with my manager closely. I got the feedback that I was looking for, and I worked on the skills that I needed to develop. And then 6 months later, the role came up again. I put myself forward, and this time I nailed the interview. And I ended up getting the job. But actually, that 6 month window made me self-analyze and self-reflect and say, actually, whilst I had a lot of passion and a lot of drive, I kind of need to slow it down a little bit. And I think that's exactly what I did. So from a strategic point of view, I started to develop a bit of this is my team and this is what I'm going to focus on. I need to look at the bigger contact center. And actually, being a team manager is not just about your people. You need to be able to work effectively with other people in different departments as well, because it's effectively one team in a contact center. And that's the thing that I developed on during that period. And I've then been able to demonstrate that at my next interview.
And you're not alone. There are many people I interview on Career Talk who go for roles and get knocked down once, twice. I think I spoke to someone who got knocked down a fair number of times and learned every time. And I think that's the important bit, and that just really builds your skill set, but also your credibility, that you take the feedback and you learn. So you then became a team manager about 12 months ago. So you were in the role. I'm going to say, but it must have been about 6 months when you were being judged by the judges. How did you find the role once you were in it? Is it everything you thought it would be?
It was even more so. It was an animal. It was a beast, but it was something that I really, really wanted to do. And there was a lot more demanding. It was a lot more. Obviously people-centric as well. I had a team of 15 people that I was working with day to day, but it wasn't, like I said, as I alluded to earlier on, it wasn't just them, it was the wider contact centre itself. And it soon dawned on me that actually I need to be highly organised here to make sure I get that, otherwise this job will swallow me up. And again, working in the planning area as well was a great platform for that, and I'm extremely grateful for that period, because again, working in planning, you had to be highly organised. Not necessarily people-centric, but you needed to be able to get things done quite quickly, dealing with managers and so forth. But this is where it became really good in my favour, because I had that background and I also know who to talk to in that area, and I could marry them up together quite quickly. But then the organisational side of things, that really was the key key element for me to be successful, because it's brilliant talking to people on a day-to-day basis, but if you've got 15 people coming at you all at the same time, you're going to struggle and you're going to sink. It doesn't matter how strong-minded you are or how much ability you've got. If you're not organized, then you're not going to succeed. And that was the key for me, and that's the reason why I felt I did really well in that role.
And so the judges, there were a couple of things that the judges said that I'm going to share with you. You may or may not have heard it, and it's the stuff that I feel that is okay to share. One of them said that you thrive on supporting people. And another one said that you're decent and honest, always willing to support people. Naveed is approachable, a genuine and down-to-earth guy, which is lovely feedback to get. Do you think that you talked just that moment ago about being organised, and you've talked also about being there for people during the COVID era and being a mental health first aider? What do you think are the important things that a team manager needs to have, the skills, the competencies? Are there other things that you think are really important for a team manager to have to be successful?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think when somebody reaches out to you, you have to give them your undivided attention, irrespective of what you're going through when it comes to workloads and so forth. You have to treat, and again, this is if I use my retail background a little bit, is when you have that customer in front of you, that's what you focus on. You don't focus on the customers that are behind them or whatever. You deal with that person in hand. That makes a person feel valued, and it makes them feel listened to rather than being rushed. Because actually, if you're looking beyond that person, you're not actually listening to a word that they're saying. And I think that's the difference between being a good manager and a really good manager, if you want to call it that. Because for me, when I'm dealing with that person, whether it be right in front of me or in a room or over the phone or via Teams, they need to know that they're my world at that moment in time. And if they are my 100% focus, irrespective of what's going on around me, they will then realize that actually this person's here to help. I might not be able to give them all the answers, and I'll be honest with that. And I turn around and say, I'm not a magician. But what I am capable of doing is hearing you out. And if I need to speak to the right people about giving you the right support, then I'll do so. What I can't do is fix all of life's little problems. What I can do is I can release some of the tension by making you feel assured that you're being heard. And I think that's probably the most powerful thing of all.
Absolutely. And so having proven yourself in the team manager role somewhat, both at Specsavers and with our independent judges at the UK Awards, you've now been promoted to operations manager. Well, first of all, congratulations on your promotion. Were you looking for that promotion? Was that on your plan with your boss, or did that just come completely out of the blue?
It was certainly my plan, and it was part of the something. And the reason why I say that is because ultimately it was something I was looking to do. Was I expecting it to happen so quickly? Absolutely not. I'm not going to deny that. But what I was working towards is that was my goal, because I in my head, I'm a goal-orientated person. I need to see what's ahead of me. If I can see what's ahead of me, I will work towards that. And if I can't get there, I can't get there. But at least I know that that's my limitation. But that was something that I was aspiring to do probably around about 8 or 9 months into the role. Once I got really confident as a team manager, I felt, right, okay, I can do this for a couple of more years or whatever, and I can still continuously do it. However, I need to understand what I need to do to get to the next level. If I can understand that, I can still focus on what I need to do day to day. The opportunity came up. I saw it. I applied for it, and I thought, all I kept on saying to myself was, why not? Why wouldn't I want to do this? This is what I've always wanted to do. Obviously, it was going to help me out from a personal point of view, but also from my family's point of view. These are the kind of areas that we were looking to focus on to see where I can do to get to myself to the peak of my abilities, if that's a word that I want to use. And like I said, I saw the role, I applied for it, I presented myself, and thankfully I got the role. And yeah, I'm just, like I said, it's just been the last 12 months has been an absolute whirlwind, and I'm so proud. And even with winning the award, that was just almost like a pinnacle, almost, and saying this is all the hard work that I've put in, alongside the people that I've worked with day to day, and the investment that Specsavers have put in for me, ranging right back to that we can call it silly if you want to, but that moment where I started to learn about colourblindness even more so, that was a weight lifted hugely off my shoulders, and that's when my confidence came soaring through. And if it wasn't for that conversation early doors, I don't think I'd be in this position, if I'm brutally honest. And that's how impactful that initial conversation was to me.
And it's really good to hear how much support you've had at Specsavers, and both from your colourblindness, but all the way through to actually supporting you to develop your career, and giving you those opportunities. So what does it mean being an operations manager? You've been in the role not very long, matter of weeks, maybe a couple of months. What does it mean on a day-to-day? What's different about being an ops manager compared to being a team manager?
It's a lot more demanding with regards to stakeholders and so forth. Again, the organizational things comes in really handy. Again, I used in my early career, but it's more strategic thinking now. It's about the cost implications and the recruitment side of things, the number of people that we need, all this kind of stuff. So the demand is a lot higher. The answers need to be a lot quicker. They need to be a lot more refined, and they need to be a lot more direct. So these are all skill sets that I've honed in on over the last 4 or 5 years, and I've been able to demonstrate articulately as well as efficiently as well. And they were the key things that got me to this role. I'm still relatively raw in it. I've only been doing the role now for 2.5 weeks, give or take. I've also had some annual leave in between that period as well, but there's been a lot more focus with regards to what I can deliver next, and it's that pressure that I'm now thriving on. If I'm honest, I'm still learning the role, I'm still learning the people, but I know I can get there because I know I've had the support, and I also know I've got the accolades now to support what I've gone through, because that's given me, I'm not going to lie, that's given me an additional piece of confidence that I didn't recognize in myself. And again, I'm extremely grateful for that, because not only do I see it myself, I know I've been recognized as well, which is really important to me.
What are your aspirations from here? You only just got into a new role as the ops manager, but what are your aspirations for the future, for 10 years' time? Where do you see yourself?
I genuinely see myself at the heart of a contact center. I would love to be able to run one. If I'm honest, I know the evolution, and I think there's always been a bit of a stigma with contact centers or call centers as they were previously known, but I can see exponential growth here with regards to the way people are going to interact with this in the future, whether it be virtually, whether it be through chat channels, or whether it be over the telephone, or so many different omni channels that are available. I can see exponential growth in this area, and I would love to be the head of it at some point in my career. Is that going to happen? I don't know, but I would love to think that I'm capable of it. And if
well, I wouldn't be surprised if it does. You're learning as you go. You're getting a lot of different. One of the things that I have noted from all of the senior leaders that I interviewed, the COOs of this world, they've had lots of different experiences in lots of different functional areas, and it takes time to get to those senior places, but you have demonstrated that you're continuously learning and continuously striving for the next thing, and all driven by supporting people.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was at the heart of my mind when I first took on the team manager's role. And again, I saw an opportunity whilst I was working as a scheduling analyst, was that to build that bridge up, because there was obviously a bit of a knowledge gap with regards to managers not being planning savvy but being people savvy, and I saw an opportunity there for myself that actually I can marry the both up together. And actually, what I found is that seems to be the area that people want to develop towards now. So what you're seeing with frontline staff, if you call it that, they move into planning and then want to move into management. Whereas before it was, I just want to go into a manager's role. It's actually now that's turned into an area that people see a great opportunity. And that's, again, thanks to Specsavers. It's the way it's been presented and channeled. And it has allowed me to be really a beacon of that, to say this is what's possible. Because if I didn't have that background, I probably wouldn't have been half the manager I was, and even capable of doing this role right now.
You are an absolute inspiration, and you're going to be inspiring all sorts of different folk who are going to be listening. I have to ask you, there's a couple of more questions I have to ask you. The first is, what's the best advice that you have ever received in the contact centre?
The best advice I've received, just to be brave. And and just go with your gut instinct. And even if it's wrong, so what? Move on. You're not going to burn the contact center down. You've just got to have the courage of your own conviction and just go for it.
Love
That
it.
was the best
Love it.
advice I ever got.
You know what? And I absolutely support it. You got nothing to lose. Go for it. And so, very, very quick questions. Do you read a book or listen to podcasts?
I read books. I'm starting to learn podcasts now through my daughter because we tend to listen to stories before she goes to bed. So I'm gravitating towards that now, but I'm more of a book person.
Love it. And in that case, real books or Kindle?
Real books.
Real books. Love it.
Always
Dogs
real
or
books.
cats?
Dogs. I've got a dog myself.
Oh, what have you got?
I've got a Shih Tzu.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, sweet little things. Sweet little things.
It's really cool.
And finally, what would you like to spend more time doing?
Yes, I'll let the team know.
Wow, that's a really interesting question. I would love to spend more time probably with my family, I would say. And the reason why I say that is taking on more holidays frequently throughout the year rather than just focusing on school holidays and so forth, which I have to do. But yeah, I would love to spend more time doing that.
Naveed, thank you Naveed, thank you so much for joining me today. I will say it again, you are an absolute inspiration. Huge congratulations to winning the Rising Star Team Manager of the Year award at the UK Awards this year. And I'm certainly going to be watching where you go from here. I think you've got a fantastic career ahead of you. Thank you so much for joining me, and again, congratulations on your win.
No problem. Thank you very much. It was an honor, a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. If you want to listen to Naveed all over again, or if you want to listen to any of the other career talks that we host here at the CCMA, please do go to ccma.org.uk and you will find lots more career talks that you can listen to. For now, thank you, take care, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.